You look wonderful tonight. It might be, I'm not sure.
You're a lyric genius though, Phil.
Oh, I hate that booty in here.
Yeah.
Everyone safe? I had oh snap, my
Good.
phone's in my pocket.
This thing's so inconvenient. I get yelled at today for wearing this.
What for? For not wearing it?
Yeah, not wearing it, sorry. I'm not good at it. It sucks.
Hello everybody, we're back with another encouragement video, and if you can tell, Chandler had surgery last week. We mentioned that in our last video, but he is alive. He's alive indeed. They didn't muff up on his surgery or anything, and he's already, don't tell his trainers, but I saw him in the gym cranking out some calf raises the other day.
What?
That man was getting it on the seated calf raise machine. I don't even know why, you know, he must just be really bored and want to maintain his physical activity. But we're going to go ahead and continue our series that we started a couple weeks ago. If you haven't been watching, that's perfectly fine. But we've just been talking about things that we feel get in the way of God's greater plan for our life. And so we talked about things like self-doubt and negative thoughts getting in the way. And so this week the topic we want to talk about is pride, which we feel is a huge thing that sometimes we don't even know we have, that we don't even know that we're possessing within us, but that gets between our plan. It makes our plan seem greater than the plan God has for us, when in fact it is the contrary, on the contrary, because God's plan in Ephesians 3:20 we see is greater than we could ever ask or imagine. And so just to kick it off, I had two quotes by the late and great C.S. Lewis, my absolutely favorite author in the whole world. If you haven't read anything by him, I definitely recommend it. A great Christian and a great role model. But he writes in his book, Mere Christianity, he says, "A proud man is always looking down on things and people, and of course, as long as you are looking down, you cannot see something that is above you." And so, truly, I mean, that's written very well, but truly subscribe and believe that, you know, if you're looking down on other people, how could you possibly see God above you and see the plan that not only has that in your life, but in the people around you, if you're constantly looking down on them and comparing yourself to them. And then the second one was, the more pride we have, the more other people's pride irritates us. And so I find that, like, to be transparent, I find that manifesting itself in my own life and just playing the comparison game with other people, and pride breeding jealousy, and jealousy breeding all sorts of other kinds of things, and negative feelings towards people around me, when if we really are keeping ourselves accountable and checking ourselves before we wreck ourselves, you know, we shouldn't have these problems within the community. And so that's why it's so great to have a community around you that'll help you keep yourself accountable, and that can help be real with you, because sometimes it's hard, especially if you have pride and you're not even aware of this pride, it's hard to be real with yourself. And so having like brothers in Christ that are there to watch you grow and watch the things that you're up to, that they can be real with you as well, and that's just another plus of community.
So good.
For sure. I think mine, what I had to share was kind of really the first quote that Devin had with just in Mere Christianity. When I think about pride, I think about I take pride in a lot of the things that I do, and my abilities and the actions and the things that, you know, being able to speak, or just different things, and just having, or even just in my good works that I've done good things, and usually, you know, I have pride in those things, and I'm usually looking for some recognition, probably most likely back because of that. And a lot of times when I do things or have done something, and I don't get that recognition back, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, all that has gone to waste. Nobody's recognized me in this or anything like that. And I kind of elevate myself and look down onto other people like, wow, I've done all these things that have kind of been the checklist for me. Like, what has that person done? Especially if that person has had success, you know, within their own life and all these different things. And that's kind of just the prideful nature that has been within me. It's like this constant competition. And I think that really comes from like my baseball background, for me it was like I'm gonna beat you out whether you like it or not, even though we're on the same team, because I want to get that spot. And how that has bled over into my life and into my personal life, and just the feelings I get, even in the sense of like other people's success. It is one of those things of like not celebrating them when I should, when they have success, and I'm like, why didn't I have success in that? You know what I mean? It's like this prideful stance that I have. And so basically, I like what that C.S. Lewis quote said, is because if we're always looking down, if we're always comparing ourselves to other people around us and not kind of comparing ourselves to God and our stance with God, then we'll never be able to see God fully, right? And so right here it says in Isaiah 64:6, it says, we have all become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a polluted garment or a filthy rag. And I just think that was interesting. And what really was a change of perspective with me was that, man, none of my actions are nothing that is good that comes from, nothing from me is good.
Yeah.
But everything that I have done wrong or have done badly is from my sinful nature and from my sinful desires and all this. But anything that was good is from God. And that in comparison to God, that I am as filthy rags. But the cool thing is that God working in us can make us do good and allow us to do good. And all those good things that come out is because of God. And so I think just a view and kind of perspective for me is like, I'm not in here to compare to another person, but because of God, I can never be in the right standing with God, but because of Jesus and what he has done on the cross, I now have right standing. It kind of changes everything. So
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think just like pride completely like clouds our minds and clouds our hearts, and I think that it honestly, just mine for this topic is this idea that it does that. It closes our eyes, our ears, our minds, and our hearts and it keeps us from learning and from growing. I've heard people say that like if you're not growing, then you're digressing. Like there's no in between, like complacency. You remember we talked about that, but like just this idea of that we always want to be growing. And I really felt like for so long my pride kept me from this, and I feel like God has really softened my heart to some of these things and showed me something that I think is pretty awesome. And it's this idea that also can relate to baseball. Like we always used to have this kind of like coach's point or whatever. They used to say play to win rather than play not to lose. And so just thinking about that in our life and in my life, I used to be where I used to just play not to lose rather than to play to win. And so just from now on, focusing on wanting to share with the people that I love, because I've seen the beauty and the goodness of God. And so I want to share with them because I've seen how good it is, and I've seen what it's done in my own life, how it's transformed me in just a short time, and how much he can do in that, and focusing on that rather than what I've probably done a lot in my life, whereas I focused on wanting to share with people because I truly love them. The intentions were still good, but I shared with them because I was just so scared that they were going to spend an eternity in hell. So it's just like a complete perspective change. Instead of focusing on what I truly feared for them, it's focus on, hey, like God is so good. He's so beautiful. He's been so good to me for so long, and I want you to see that. I want you to experience that, rather than, hey, I just don't want you to experience something bad, but I want you to experience something awesome.
So, like, I guess just to follow up, like, if there's someone that was like watching this that knows for a fact that, you know, they're looking down at other people, or like trying to place themselves above other people, or they're in this competitive mind state, and they recognize that they're having an issue with pride in their lives, what would you say as like a daily thing that they need to do with the help of God in their lives that could help them deny that pride on a constant basis, because it's not something easy to do?
I think it's just I read this quote Bob Goff had, and he's constantly talking about becoming love and what that looks like. People that are becoming love, they don't tell people what they want, but they tell people who they are. And so when we start to view people in that light of saying who they are, we realize that it's all humbled, because we're all on equal playing ground. Everything's equal at the foot of the cross. So a circle of grace that covers all of us is that we're all in the same seat. Yeah. We can't compare ourselves to other people, because God's love for us is no different whether we do amazing works or whether we're constantly in sin. He still loves us the same, you know?
Yeah, and I think just to go off that, I don't think it's like you wake up in the morning and you remind yourself of that, but I think it's like literally every minute, like every second, you got to tell yourself that. Because I can say that, but like, man, I'm gonna not have pride today. I'm gonna try to support other people around me. I'm gonna try to speak to their potential. I'm gonna try to value them more than I value my own life. And then I get to the coffee shop and they're saying something that I'm just like, oh, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I need to remind myself again. You know what I mean? It's like this daily, constant, second reminder.
I also think that like that perspective, it doesn't come before we realize where we stand. You know, like John 3:30 says, he must increase and I must decrease. Yeah. So just realizing that we become humbled because we realize where we are, and then we can help other people to see that. Like, you know, like we can't go and try to change people or tell people who they are without realizing who we were first, and just being so humbled by that that it constantly changes our relationships.
Yeah. What you remind me of, and I'm not trying to go full nerd, but like I don't know if you saw the Venom trailer was released this past week for the new Venom movie coming out later this year, and there's this scene. Basically, Venom's about this like alien that takes over this guy's body, and it's in his head with all these negative thoughts and everything. And there's this scene in the trailer that as he's walking down the street, because he realizes that this thing inside of him, this monster inside of him, wants to do evil against other people, and he's talking to himself. He's talking to the thing that's within him, the monster and the demon within, and he's like, we're not gonna hurt good people. We're not gonna hurt good people. And this monster just like slams him against the wall, and it's like, we could do whatever we want to do. And so like I was reminded of that when you were like, I had to constantly remind myself, not just in the morning because I can forget that, but literally like. That scene just popped right in my head when you said that, because it was like he was walking down the street having to remind himself, like, I'm not gonna hurt good people, like I'm not gonna do it. And that just reminded me of like that inner battle we have with ourselves of trying to really manifest the good that God has placed in our lives, and the denying of the flesh that comes along with that, and having to have a daily, like hourly, like every minute reminder of that through our day.
So good.
Yeah. You guys have anything else?
No.
We appreciate you guys watching. We hope that these are really speaking life into you in your life and your walk on a daily basis, and that it's just a little extra motivation in your week. Whether you watch these while you're eating, I feel like that's the best time to watch these, honestly, is because it's just a nice little 10-minute thing. That's all we really have. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Love y'all.
Hey, Austin.
Hey.
Back to school.
Oh, look at that squat.